Hey kids, this is Ivan. How you doing? I made a short about this house before, but I wanted to talk about it again because this is one of my favorite houses around my area. This is a purple house. I love this. I know I told you that my girlfriend is not exactly fond of this color or the way they did the house, but it doesn't really matter. So yeah, it's okay, Sue. We'll forgive you on that. I just think it's great because, part of being authentic and doing whatever the hell you want means doing whatever the hell you want. So this person actually had the balls, the guts, the chutzpah, just paint their house purple, which I think is awesome because it's surrounded by all these other houses that are just kind of normal looking and kind of boring. And this one isn't, They've painted this wonderful color. It's even better during Easter because they've got like Easter decorations, which I think are awesome. And it's got this yellow door, which, let's see, can we get to the yellow door without me being hit by a car? Let's try this, yeah. Backing up on the street, not recommend. So it's got this yellow door. So this is such a cool house. I love this house. The house is surrounded by all these other houses that are just kind of boring, But it gets worse, and I'll show you. Ever since I was a little kid, I've always loved unusual houses. I was not a fan of the regular houses. When I saw the nifty modern ones, I always loved those. And it was, I grew up in the 70s because I was born in 68. So that's when houses started to get really kind of wacky looking, and you'd start to see some houses. I remember one that my mom had to get called to because a friend of hers was babysitting kids in this house, and she got a little freaked out. Why'd she get freaked out? Well, it wasn't because of the kids. It's because the house is in the middle of the woods, but the walls were clear plastic. I think it was like 2 layers of clear plastic, and pretty thick, so the heat wouldn't escape. So you could just look right into the house. And so she was convinced at this point that people were looking into the house, and that was getting her really, really freaked out. But I need to show you this other thing. It's right around my neighborhood, which is not as cool. And that's these apartment buildings, which have been painted black. Yeah, it's kind of cool and interesting looking and metal. But, how hot are these going to get in the summertime? How hot are these going to get? There's other ones over here, same thing. They're kind of like partly white, partly black. I guess maybe in the wintertime, they'll heat up by the sun a little bit more. But these things have to be ovens in the summertime. So I don't know. But I've always loved really interesting looking houses. I thought that clear walled house was awesome. And I live in kind of a boring house, which is sad. But I really respect, when people just have these really unusual, crazy houses. There was a house, I forget the town, I want to say it was Brantford, but it was painted really crazy, different colors on every side and all this stuff. And apparently, the story goes that the person painted their house a color that was not allowed by that historic area, whatever, it was. I think there were something like 6 colors you could paint your house, and that was it. So they said, screw it. And so they painted their houses all 6 colors. And it stayed like that for quite some time. At least that's the story I heard. Could have been a different area, but I'm pretty sure that was, because I remember the house vividly. And the garage was painted like that for a long time. And this right here, well, this is an abandoned lot. That's been abandoned for quite some time. People clear it out every once in a while, and then they move away. And it's got this little entryway into nothing. I love this little abandoned lot. I think it's cool. I hope it stays abandoned. Anyhow, that's a little look into some interesting crap in my neighborhood.